got out there to warm up, but it was pretty surprising. I think when we got off the bus, we went right into the school, into the locker room, so we didn't feel much of it. And then once we finally went on the field for specials, and, kids were starting to kick and punt, and the returners were having some issues out there. So luckily, we were out there for a good amount of time, I think probably to get acclimated. But you never really know how the wind is going to affect the game, and as it wind gusts, it wasn't necessarily a steady wind the whole time. So sometimes those gusts were pretty high. But I think the kids got enough of a feel. We had an idea of how we wanted to approach the kickoff, how we wanted to kind of deal with it as far as throwing the ball. So I think we were prepared, but we were definitely surprised when we first got there.
A good experience for our guys to get used to the colder weather, especially during the playoffs. It's gonna be cold weather. It's not gonna be warm. So it was a good experience to be in the cold weather, just see what it's like, and just to play through it and just see what the atmosphere is like. But yeah,
I love any type of weather like that. Any odd weather I can really handle. Besides heat, anything but heat. So I love how it was a little chilly. The wind doesn't affect me at all, but I can see how it can affect Matt and people handling the ball. But yeah, I felt like our team adjusted to it quick.
For sure, it lowers the temperature, and everybody knows. When you're getting hit at a lower temperature, especially if you're not wearing gloves or no sleeves, it hurts more. You feel it, and it lasts for a lot longer than just the initial contact. So I think going out there, we kind of knew it was going to be cold, especially having a bus ride over where we had some of the windows down and it was cold. Everyone knew it was going to be a cold game.
I would say it mostly just contributed to how cold it was, and it definitely was really, really, really cold. But kind of all that plays into is you notice it before the game and when you're warming up, and maybe during halftime. But during the game, it's not really a factor. You feel, after you get actually warm, and the game just starts going, you start sweating. Kind of just not a factor anymore.
The same. I'm back left. I have Matt next to me. Then we have a few rows in front. That kickoff kicked a little short, right? I saw it and I was like, should I let this bounce or no? I was like, all right. I got up under it. I saw it was coming down. Great timing. Caught it, put it under my right arm, and I look up. First person I look at is Matt. I see Matt hit the L1 guy, which is his assignment to block, and right inside I see this huge gap. I cut up, and then there's a kicker. And there's two lineman looking guys running at me, and I was like, all right, as long as I stay on the sideline, I have these two beat. And then sometimes you have to worry about the kicker because I'm normally a pretty decent athlete, right? But just used my speed and I got up and I got in the end zone, and great way to start the game.
I think it was going towards the middle, and then as soon as it was halfway through the air, then I saw it was going more towards Ronan's side, so the ball was pointing that way. So then Ronan just made the call, and then I made sure he caught it, and we just won.
I think we knew that the wind was blowing across the field, so from the home side to our sideline. Now, typically when the ball's kicked, we have two returners. So if it's kicked down the middle, we want the guy that's backside to catch it on the run to go. But they get to choose. So I think it's also very possible that they may have kicked it away from San Suaso to Ronan. But as it gets kicked, it starts drifting. So you could see, luckily he did a really good job getting to it, but I would assume there was a ton of movement that kind of led him in that direction. So we got kind of lucky having a return going that way. And then obviously for him to catch and hit it on the run, it was fast. He was right on those guys fast and through that first level. So we got lucky, but I think, the kids adjusted to it well.
So Usually every year we get a big return, like last year in Keene with Adam, and now this year with Ronan up in Merrimack. So it wasn't a big surprise, but it really felt good to start off the game like that against a rival team like Merrimack.
Definitely really exciting. And I think it would definitely contribute to how the momentum of the game went and just how some of the events during the game happened. You know, you don't know how much stress or how much nerves that put on the other team. You don't know how much stress that put on the coach, and it definitely helped us get into it a lot quicker. So, I mean, it's definitely one of the big plays you kind of, when you have the opportunity to make it, you have to make it. And it's just a big part of the game.
Setting that tone has been so important, and I think it's like a really big psychological aspect of the game. And the fact that we've been able to do it so successfully is just going to help us.
Warm-ups, you know, everyone's a little nervous, but once like you're there, right, the kickoff team, the receiving team, you have to put all the nerves to the side. And especially with an opening start, with a kick return for a touchdown, everything just goes away. Everything's blank. It's just you on the field, staying locked in. So it was just a great start for the game.
Lopez's punt bounces off Ballesteri.
obviously we had the special teams issue to start the Goffstown game, but I'm pretty sure through 4 games we might have been behind for about a minute, 2 minutes. So continuing to stress starting fast, continuing to stress how important special teams are, and then, trying to make sure that, we're taking care of the football. And obviously in the Merrimack game, like, they have a couple turnovers early, and it's a game changer, and it really doesn't matter who you are. We've been trying to watch as much film as we can with the kids on Monday and using some of the things that we see other teams do or not do as teachable moments for us. So hopefully we can learn from those, situations or scenarios also. But it's really important, and then as I'm driving into school today, I'm starting to think about, at what point are we going to be down a little bit? Are we going to be down a score? Are we going to be down a couple scores? And how are the kids going to respond to that? It's really easy, to do well, play well, feel great when things are going well. When is it that we're going to first see some real adversity? Is it going to be this week? I don't know. Is it going to be next week? So ultimately they're high school kids, so we could try to tell them as much as, we want that we think is going to help, but it's a lot of how they react to situations. And luckily for the first time in a while, we have some, a good amount of seniors and some kids that have been in a lot of different situations. So hopefully some leadership there, but the fast start is, it's huge.
Jackson's pass intended for Brown.
Angles over defense. The D line was holding pressure against the quarterback, which I think they expected because the QB was letting the ball out quick and wasn't very consistent. And then our linebackers would drop back and defend the pass really well. Same with their secondary. So we all came together and worked hard.
Yes, definitely. Especially like with the defense, like every like possession they had the ball was like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and then like the last half, like they got the first down or whatever. But like that was just like playing possession, so like we were okay giving up like the first down, just playing time on distance. But yeah, definitely big.
Santa Swallows. Santa Swallows on the keeper. They're going to find a seat. Touchdown Cardinals.
It's momentum, but also it is definitely some learning and some improvements since last week and since Timberlane, all the issues with the coverage and all the issues, just anything that we saw that we had needed to fix got fixed, and we executed it well. We just played really well as a whole.
I think we looked really good. I mean, everyone was hitting hard, which is one of the things we've been talking about, where people have said, you know, BG is a talented team. BG has a lot of good players, but, you know, no one has really ever said, you know, where people talk about, let's say, like Londonderry, where they're like, Londonderry hits hard, Londonderry is aggressive. Rather, we are more so like the talent, the skill side is what they've said. But we looked aggressive, we looked tough during that half. So I think that was the biggest change, at least, from what we've seen in the past. Maybe because, I mean, there have been talented BG teams before, but this team looked like aggressive. We looked like a tough team.
Santa Swallows pass complete. Santa Swallows on the keeper. Touchdown Cardinals.
I think it all runs off of momentum. Like we run back the opening kickoff and then the fumble recovery and then the touchdown, and then after that they're just like all confused, which makes them play worse. It makes us tougher because we want to keep on running up the score. So it's all like a momentum shift, and we just took all the momentum right away.
It's huge, especially hearing that the Merrimack's going to give us like a good game. So like being up 14-0 gives us more of like a confidence boost to just keep going, and which obviously like the momentum just kept pushing us to even extend that lead even further. So it was definitely big.
As much as possible to the kids, like we always do, about what the scenario is and kind of maybe what some of the track record is. You know, a lot of those kids played last year, but we were at Stellos. So going back to the last time BG was at Merrimack, you know, some of those kids were sophomores, and some of them were playing and some of them weren't. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things that we talk about. I think coming off the Goffstown game, some of those kids were flying pretty high and they had a lot of confidence, and you know, we're not just trying to bring them down to earth, but also just trying to be honest with them about the next game and the next situation, and trying not to take anything for granted. And then they just started really fast. So the way that the game went at the beginning, within the first few minutes, gives them a lot of confidence.
Great. In practice, coach was saying they're going to be good. They're a rival team. It was going to be a hard game. It wasn't going to be easy. It was going to be cold. It was going to be windy. But once we started putting up points, we were like, all right, we have this in the bag. It felt great. It wasn't our best. I know we can do better, but it was just awesome to be able to see what we can do for games like Londonderry, Bedford, North, and playoffs.
Yeah, this way now! This way! 3-4 now! Tennis was on the quarterback keeper. Touchdown Cardinals.
There's always room to get better, but as far as the 4 years I've been here, that was probably the best type of football we've ever played, especially against our rivalry team, though. So, it's supposed to be a big game, one that's supposed to be close, could be competitive, and we just came out there and dominated and just played to the best of our ability. So I think it was definitely really, really good.
Touchdown Cardinals. On the 5-yard scamper.
Stats after games and looking at it, and the stat sheet is long, which is great because those kids, they practice hard too, and they try to get them experience. And then as the season goes along, there's going to be injuries, there's going to be issues. Kids could get sick. You never really know when you're going to need those guys, so it's super valuable. Anytime we can put a game away early, we get to rest guys, right? Keep them fresh for the following week, and then we get to take a look at some other guys, not just get them experience, but kind of evaluate them. And when we were trying to talk yesterday at practice, like some guys, they may have thought like, hey, I'm 3rd or 4th on the depth chart, I'm not playing this week, and then it's like, guy goes down, and all of a sudden you're right in the mix. So it's huge, and it's great, and the more kids we can play, I think the better they feel involved. It's one group, one team, and I think as a coaching staff, we're really happy with that.
No, it definitely made me feel a little bit more confident than just jumping in this year, junior year, and saying, oh, you're a running back now. Saying, oh, I got to figure out how to see the holes, see the gaps well, how to keep it going, learn from coach. I learned a lot from coach last year, so definitely taught me some things that I can use this year.
I mean, I love having him where he's at now. I mean, obviously last season, he was not as productive as he has been this season, which I personally think was a big confidence issue. I mean, it was the first time he was getting on the field. He wasn't a starter from the very beginning. He really came in because of injuries, and he just had to step to the plate, and he did the best he could, but it really was his first time getting in a varsity game like that. So I think this year, building off of last year. Now he knows what it's like to be in a game, and he knows how people hit and what to do. The confidence is there. Now he can more work on that like skill refinement, which he's been doing a great job. I mean, he's been filling the position great. I mean, having a good line in front of you always helps. But but he's really been doing a great job both sides of the ball. So, I mean, and talking about having faith in that second core, I mean, it's really been eye-opening to me to see him running and getting yards and getting in the end zone too. Especially him and McDonough both getting at McDonough at quarterback. I mean, God forbid anything has happened to Matt, but I mean, I'm very at ease looking to see like McDonough getting in the end zone, Jimmy getting in the end zone, just them performing well. It's peace of mind knowing just in case we get injured that they'll be there to take care of everything.
Definitely, he was running really quick, running really fast, really strong, really hard, and making blocks. Like he did what he had to do, and it definitely showed on film. He did really good.
It's amazing. He showed a lot of progress over the years, and his eye for his vision for the gaps and stuff while running the ball is the best I've seen. This kid can cut anywhere and make perfect decisions. And it really puts a lot of thought in it because once Charlie comes back, now we have two consistent running backs that we can change and switch out for different situations. And I feel like it would, if we use both of them in one game, they both won't be as tired, and I feel like our team could benefit from that.
And as soon as I think we got on the bus to leave Merrimack, I was looking at scores, and the first thing I thought was like, oh boy, and you kind of get that pit in your stomach of, are they starting to figure it out? They're obviously struggling when it comes to scoring, but they're not struggling on defense at all. And then in the power poll, it's like Exeter's number 2, so you're like, oh boy, so Philemon Winnacunnet could have won the game. They have just a few too many turnovers, and they put the ball on the ground a lot. And I was very impressed. They got some linemen, 2 linemen that are very big, probably going to be playing in college soon. And, I think one of the things too that is really valuable for them is they were just in a championship game. So even if they graduated a bunch of kids, like there's going to be kids that are on that team that just had a massive playoff run and a ton of experience, and those kids aren't going to quit. They're going to play the full game. They're going to play the full season. So it's going to be really important to start fresh again and fast. But it is concerning, big time concerning.
I would say we're worried. Not really worried, but we know we have a good team on our hands. Not looking at the record, but we're working hard, and hopefully we come out this week and win.
But I don't see them as really like an 0-4 team. I mean, I see them as a team who's had some bad luck and just some narrow losses, which is true. But I'm definitely not taking it lightly.
Definitely do have some really good O-line and D-linemen. I don't know their names per se, but they're definitely bigger interior guys and some of the better guys in the state. So something that we have to figure out, but in reality, it's just something that the line has to figure out and make them not a factor in the game.
Hey, I feel like it makes us treat like the rest of the games from now out like a playoff game almost. So if we lose this game, then it puts us in a tough position to not finish first in our conference. So every game is just huge. So this game means a lot, and it's important for us not to look forward and just focus on Winnacunnet first before we start looking past the other teams.
I would say their D line is really good, so our offensive line really has to show out. And from our defensive aspect, of course O line. They have 2 great kids on their O line and D line. But other than that, I don't really know how this game's gonna go. I have no predictions for it.
I think that we need to treat this week just like we did last week, because again, the later it gets in the season, the colder it's going to get. The conditions really aren't going to get that better unless playing grass or turf and really the weather, but ultimately it's really not going to get much better than it has been. So I think if we can just focus on being aggressive like we did last week, then we're gonna be just fine against them. And I know us going through a couple injuries and stuff like that, it's definitely getting closer, you know, because I mean we're pretty much we're our strength, you know, setting the tone with that fast offense, like getting down to the end zone early, getting a lead on teams. I mean, matched up against Winnacunnet, who doesn't really let up a lot of points, it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out.
We try to talk on Monday. Just as a sports fan, like I watch a lot of college football if we're not playing on a Saturday, and you always see it every week. You know, we're dealing with younger kids. You know, a lot of those college kids, those are men. But like you see it all the time, the psychology of sport. You know, like these look-ahead spots. You know, and a lot of these teams, you know, you get caught up. You know, they might be looking ahead to a big conference rival, or they might be looking ahead to, you know, a top 10 team, and they lose the week before. So, you know, there's going to be, I'm sure, a lot of emphasis probably on the game that we have next week, depending on how things go this week. But like, we're going to get there, but we got to take care of this week first. So we kind of explained what the scenario is and tried to talk about everything on Monday. And then when we left film on Monday, like I don't want to hear anything but Winnacunnet for the rest of the week, and try to get those senior kids, if they start hearing kids talk about things, to just kind of refocus. You know, ultimately we're trying to put ourselves in a position to win the conference, you know, to try to get that first round bye. And there's a lot of games left and a lot of uncertainty. And if we lose this week, you know, we're probably not going to win the conference. So it's going to be really important to just focus on this week. But definitely I view it as a potential problem of a look-ahead spot, which would be a mistake.